Hello from Axiom Space Mission Control in Houston, Texas. My name is Bettina Nklang with Axiom Space. With me is Rex Walheim, a veteran of spaceflight. You've spent more than 36 days in space across 3 shuttle missions. You have logged more than 36 hours on 5 spacewalks. Today, Rex, you are Axiom Space's Director of Safety and Mission Assurance. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Well, a few days ago, we saw the launch of Axiom's Mission 1, Ax-1. Wanted to know, where were you and what were you thinking about?
Well, on April 8th, I was down at the Kennedy Space Center in the Launch Control Center, and I was watching the launch and watching all the preparations. And it was a very special day for me because not only was it the launch day, but it was actually 20 years ago to the day of my very first space shuttle mission, STS-110. And so I got to watch the launch and think about what was going through their minds as they were riding out toward the launch pad, seeing the rocket for the first time as they turned the corner, and then getting out and kind of looking up at the rocket before they get on the elevator, riding the elevator, and then crossing the gantry and getting into the vehicle. So it was really neat to reminisce on that and what it's like to just look at that rocket and think, I can't believe I'm really going to ride that thing. And to get on board, and then just to wait while they're doing all the checks as they fill the vehicle for those guys while they're on the vehicle. So I'm sure they hear all the weird sounds and things. They're going, "Boy, that's different." And then the big thing is that just a few seconds before liftoff, when the main engines come up and you feel that rumble and think, "Okay, this is really it." And then, bam, the rockets light and you head off and go to space, and you feel that jolt and you realize, yeah, this is it. We're really going to space today. It's really an amazing feeling.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, clearly you've had an incredible experience as an astronaut, an incredible career. One of the things that really strikes me is you were part of the last space shuttle mission. What was it like to be part of the end of that era, and now being here at Axiom Space and being the start of this new era in human spaceflight? And we just recently, as a country, started the return to human spaceflight.
Right. So it was a real honor to be on STS-135, the final space shuttle mission. It was just such a pleasure to fly that vehicle one more time, whether it was the 50th or the 100th or whatever. And so there was a lot of pressure to do it right. We wanted to finish the program strong, and we didn't really have a chance to really reminisce about what it was like to be on the last shuttle mission because we had a job to do. But there were a few periods when we realized, this is really it. This is the last space shuttle mission. One was the night before we came home. Chris Ferguson was our commander, and he was mentioning, this is it. This is the last time somebody's going to eat a meal on the space shuttle before we return to home. So it was really a neat feeling. And then, but when we landed, we went through all our post-flight stuff, and then it was kind of strange because all of a sudden it was over, and everybody else had kind of gotten through that process already when they watched the launch and the landing, and were kind of got through the feelings of this is the end of the shuttle program. But for us, it kind of took a couple months later. And then we realized, okay, this is the end of the shuttle program. And then it was a tough time for the space industry because a lot of people lost their jobs. And going down the Kennedy Space Center, there just wasn't a lot going on back then. They were refurbishing the pads and things like that, doing all these projects, but there was nothing flying. And so finally, the first big kick in the kicking along the road and the excitement was when the Exploration Flight Test 1 of Orion flew, and then we started getting closer to the commercial crew flights. And when those started flying, things really started taking off. And so it was really exciting to see that metamorphosis from the letdown after the shuttle program to kind of building back up all the way to where we are now. Not only flying commercial crews from NASA, but flying our first commercial crew our first all commercial crew from Axiom 1.
Yeah, and if you remember that day, what stuck out to me was seeing our rocket, the SpaceX rocket with our crew on top for Ax-1, and the Artemis 1 rocket right there. It's a very different type of world now that we're living in.
It was. That was one of the neatest things, is to be able to see our Falcon 9 and the Dragon capsule on pad 39A, and then glance over to 39B and see this enormous moon rocket. And that was the first time I got to see it on the pad. It's just awesome to take a look at it and to think, here we are. And it did cross my mind that this is what we're supposed to be doing. We have 2 vehicles on the launch pad now, and we're really supposed to have the commercial side going into low Earth orbit, and then NASA doing that exploration going into deep space.
That's fantastic. With that, one of the things I love here at Axiom is we are building all these new things, as you just highlighted, but we are built with a lot of people that have a lot of experience in NASA and spaceflight experience in general. How are you leveraging that experience here at Axiom Space?
Yeah, the fact that there's so many veterans of NASA space flights on on the Axiom team was one of the things that drew me to this company when I was thinking about coming here. And I thought, wow, these people are some of the best, and they were really, really knowledgeable, and they're going to have a really head start on getting this program built. And so I saw that appealed to me, and now that I've been here, we've even gotten more and more people that come along, and each person adds a piece to the puzzle. So the engineers take a look at what they've learned over their engineering careers. The flight crews, they remember what's important to them. What types of lessons learned have we learned the hard way over the many years? And we try to find those things, where the places where we've tripped up in the past, and then look in the future, because you can't just fight the last battles. You got to look at what could catch us in the future. And so that's what we kind of have a future focus, figuring, okay, we know what's happened in the past. How are we going to apply those lessons learned, but also look out for something new that we haven't faced before?
So I know, walking in here, Mission Control, I've seen you many times sitting right here watching the Ax-1 crew up in station doing a lot of incredible stuff. What are the things that have, I guess, made a biggest impression on you and what's more striking? And what are people not talking at home about this mission that you think they should be? Well,
one of the things that has struck me is it's nice to see short duration crew members come up to go out on the space station and only spend 8 to 10 days and then come back home and tell their story. It's very important that we have the long duration crew members, because they have to learn about how the space flight affects the human body. So if you want to go to the moon or Mars and we stay there long periods of time, so we can handle that type of thing. But it's nice to have a vehicle and a program that sends people up for just a few days so they can get a taste of what it's like. And it's been just a pleasure to watch our crew members get up there and for the first time experience space. And it's really neat to watch them in the metamorphosis. They start kind of tentative and trying to learn to adjust to space flight and to adjust to being on orbit, adjust to doing their work, and then they kind of get more and more proficient, and can enjoy it more, and then they can really get their research done, and then come on home and tell people about the experience. And when you're going home for 10 days, you get more people that get to go there. You can launch several times a year, and you can meet more and more new astronauts who have that experience, who can bring it back and talk to people about it.
Yeah, I know that some of the things that you and I have talked about is how important it is for Axiom Space to be able to open low Earth orbit, open space to more individuals, more countries, more researchers to have access to microgravity.
Right, because everybody likes to see somebody like them in space. Whether it's their background or whether it's their nationality. Here we have a Canadian. Mike was from Spain and the United States, and we have Eitan from Israel, and so we have people from all over the world, and that's what we want to have. Because when they go back to their countries, Eitan will go back to Israel, and people will relate to him. They can talk to him about it, and he's their astronaut, and they're going to really enjoy hearing his stories. And that's a way for people to relate to spaceflight, so we can really bring spaceflight to the masses that way. And the more people we fly from different countries, from different backgrounds and different experiences, the more we can get that feeling of what it's like in space and what we learn up in space, expanded and transferred to folks around the world.
Absolutely. It's brought me a lot of joy to see these guys in space, but I can imagine you, someone who has been there many times, what do you think they're experiencing as new astronauts?
Well, it's a whole process. Going to space is it's an adventure. It's fun a lot of times, but a lot of times it's not. It's hard work. And so I think they're learning that, and I can see them go through the process that most new astronauts go to. They first get up there, and it's an alien environment. It's just, everything is overwhelming. The views, the sensations, the processes, anything simple activity like trying to eat something, it is very difficult. And so they get used to that. It's very exciting, but it is overwhelming a bit at first. And the whole sensation of getting used to zero gravity, some people get a little bit nauseous when they get up there, or some people get a lot nauseous. So it's something you have to deal with. And so you have to just get used to being up there from a physiological standpoint, from an experiences standpoint. And as you do, you can kind of enjoy it better. Because at first it's so overwhelming, the views, all the things that are going around you, that you don't kind of soak it all in. But as you start getting used to it, and you can expand your view of what you're paying attention to, and you can really enjoy it. It's a great experience.
Yeah, I think if I would be there, I'd be just stuck in the cupola the entire time.
Yeah. That's the temptation, is to stick your nose against the window and just look, and you have to have time to do that. But to the credit of our crew members on Ax-1, they have really devoted themselves to doing important research, and they're basically mimicking what we do on the shuttle or the station program in a short duration flight. And it really is to their credit that instead of just spending their time sticking their noses in the windows, they want to do meaningful stuff. They want to do research. They want to make a difference. They want to bring the benefits of space down to humanity, which is exactly what we want to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to working on many more astronaut missions together. I'm Bettina Glang for all things Axiom Space, including future private astronaut missions and our Axiom Station, the world's first private space station. Please be sure to visit axiomspace.com. Thank you.